In the department, versus Tara Johnson. We are here today on a request for court-ordered services. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, Ms. Katie just passed on some information that Ms. Johnson was personally served on May 7th of 2024. Of course, we appointed Mr. Jackson to represent her. She is not in my waiting room. So we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department, Family and Protective Services. I'm ready to proceed. I anticipate Ms. Watson for short testimony, Your Honor.
Okay.
Jerry Morales, outline for the child ready, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Morales, have you been able to make contact with your client yet?
No, unfortunately not, Your Honor. I'm still waiting on some information from the department. I'm assuming she's still with maternal grandmother, and I reached out for that contact information. I've not received that yet.
I apologize, Jerry. I did get a call from your staff, and I just did not follow up on it yesterday afternoon.
No worries, son.
Okay, then, Mr. Albee, who is your first witness, Ms. Watson?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd call Ms. Sasha Watson.
All right. Okay, we'll send message to Mr. Jackson. I'm concerned that neither he nor his client are present, so but we're going to go ahead and proceed, and we'll see what we hear from him.
For the record, Judge, Mr. Jackson reached out to us. It may have been late last week, maybe been yesterday, that asking for contact information from Ms. Johnson. I know that Ms. Watson followed up with that email, so I know that Mr. Jackson was provided that information.
Okay.
Ms. Watson, you're with St. Francis. You're an investigator working with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Yes, sir.
How old is Maddox?
Maddox is 4 years old.
And what were the allegations or the reasons that you began an investigation into this home?
The initial intake was due to a domestic violence dispute between mother and stepfather. And then a few days afterward, we received another intake regarding concerns for drug use.
And when you received your reports, what did you do with that?
Completed all initial tasks, and I spoke with mother, and then I also did see the child, and I tried to contact and reach out to biological father as well.
All right, so let's talk about the first thing you mentioned. You said you went and talked to Miss Johnson. Did you talk with her and advise her what the reasons for your investigation were?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you discuss with her what her rights were?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did she agree to talk to you at that time?
Yes, sir, she did.
And what was her response to the allegations of domestic violence in the home?
She did disclose that there was a small altercation. However, she did say that Maddox was not there at the time of that altercation taking place.
Did you discuss with her whether or not there was a history of domestic violence between her and her boyfriend?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did she have a response to that?
Yes, sir. She just disclosed that there was just a little tension and stress living in the smaller home, and arguing and things getting pretty heated.
So she did admit that there was, if not any further physical violence, there was at least verbal altercations going on in the home with the child.
Yes.
And did you also discuss with her the allegations of illegal substance use?
Yes, sir, I did. We talked about that and the history of it. I did ask Miss Johnson to drug screen for me, which she did on her own will, tell me that she would drug screen, but never did. I did attempt to do an oral swab for her since she did not go to the facility. I gave her 2 of those in which she chewed up both of the tests, and I did not get a read from her.
So even though there were some allegations of drug use, and she agreed to take a test, she didn't ever follow through with that.
Correct.
And in fact, when you attempted to do one, a pretty unobtrusive oral swab, she didn't cooperate with you on that either.
Not fully, no, sir.
Did you were you able to reach out and find Joe Barbosa, the father to this child?
No, sir. I went by an address. That was his most current address given from the school. He wasn't at that home. An ex-girlfriend reported he no longer lived there, but had no address for him. I reached out to him on his cell phone that was given to me by grandmother, by maternal grandmother, and he did not respond. I sent text messages and attempted to leave voicemails for him to contact me.
Have you had any contact with him at all?
No, sir.
Now, when did your investigation start, Ms. Watson?
My investigation began on February. My first attempt at reaching the family was on the 16th.
And how many times have you had an opportunity to talk to Ms. Johnson about these things?
I've spoken with Ms. Johnson. It's now May. I've spoken with her at least 3 times since February.
And she still is not any more cooperative in taking a drug screen and trying to alleviate the concerns we have about illegal substance use.
That's correct.
Has she done anything to rectify or attempt to take care of the domestic violence issues?
No, sir, not that I could confirm.
Do you know if the boyfriend that she was fighting with is still in the home?
Since going out to the home several times, I have not been told that they have broken up, but I have not personally seen him myself.
And because she's not been very cooperative with you, would you agree with me that there's a continuing danger of domestic violence and neglect due to substance abuse in the home?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking the court then to order that she works in services?
Yes, sir.
And specifically, are you asking that the court order that she do individual counseling, parenting class, do an OSAR evaluation, random drug screens, allow Mr. Morales and the department to have access to her home and to her child, and to file and sign any releases for any healthcare providers?
Yes, sir.
Any further services that you think are needed at this time?
At this time, not that I can think of.
Thank you, Ms. Watson. I'll pass it with Ms. Sherman.
All right, thank you. Ms. Morales?
Thank you. Ms. Watson, did mother sign a safety plan to allow maternal grandmother to have Maddox or possession of Maddox?
She did sign a safety plan, and the safety plan was for supervision, just to ensure that, we could keep a sober eye, protective eye on Maddox due to the concerns and not being able to alleviate the concerns.
And in that regard, it appears, at least from the affidavit, that maternal grandmother has been pretty protective of Maddox so far. Is that your opinion as well?
Yes.
Okay. And so if Maddox is in fact with maternal grandmother, does the department have any concerns for his safety?
I do not.
Okay. And as far as you know, that's where Maddox is currently located. He's staying with his grandmother?
Yes. So there is the bigger home up front, and then there's a tiny home in the backyard of grandmother's home.
Oh, okay. Okay. And the
that's where
tiny
Johnson and the boyfriend live.
Okay. And will you provide me that information today whenever you have the opportunity?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Let me get your piece of paper. Let me get whether you want me to give you a call or an email, whichever, so I can get that contact and get it to you.
I can send you an email in the chat if you'd like.
Yeah.
And I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Albee, any further witnesses to present today?
Do not, Your Honor, I rest.
All right, and Ms. Morales, anything to present? The recommendations today?
Only, Your Honor, I'd like to add, based on the affidavit of the department, I do believe that maternal grandmother is going to be protective. She's likely the one who called in the report. I think she'll continue to be protective of Maddox. As soon as I get her contact information, I'd like to go out there and visit with her and Maddox this week at her convenience, and maybe have more to report at the status hearing. But at this point, I do believe that this is in Maddox's best interest, provided that mother continues to allow maternal grandmother to supervise and basically keep Maddox until she can work some services. Obviously, my concerns, I didn't have as much concerns with the allegations of the domestic violence. They seemed, maybe everybody minimized them, but they seemed fairly minimal in the affidavit. But I definitely was concerned with her repeated failure to test and say that she's going to test. And then what she did with both of the oral swabs was concerning to me. So based on that, until we can get a negative hair follicle, I definitely think that it's best that Maddox stay with his grandmother.
Okay, Ms. Watson, let me back up and ask you a couple other questions. A couple things I had from having read the affidavit. What was the condition of the home, where the small home where mother and boyfriend and the child was?
Whenever I was actually given the opportunity to go inside, it was clean. It is, I mean, it's very, very small. There's not really a particular room, so to say, but there was appropriate bunk bed. There was a couch. It was neat, but it was very small. There was like a back corner kind of closet area that was pretty packed with stuff, but they did have like a covering in front of it, as if there was no access to that for Maddox.
All right. Did you ever talk to the maternal grandmother about the condition of the home? Because I think she had made some allegation that the home was in very cluttered, dirty.
Yes, ma'am. Whenever I did speak to grandma about it, she did tell me that the home is usually not presented the way that I saw the home. And just said that mom is, for a lack of better terms, a little irresponsible when it comes to cleaning up after herself, and would just throw things on the floor, and isn't very clean.
So was the plan that mom is going to continue to live there on the property in the small home, and then of course maternal grandmother staying in her home? Was that the basis of the safety plan, and that the child would actually stay in maternal grandmother's house?
So the safety plan was just for grandmother to supervise all contact that Miss Johnson has with Maddox. And so Maddox is typically inside of grandmother's home all the time, aside for him being in school. And so when she comes up, all the utilities and like the refrigerator and things are in the main house. There's no utilities or anything in that smaller home. So we just did a safety plan of supervision. As far as Ms. Johnson staying on the property, she did disclose to me that she was looking for her own home, but she told me she was employed, but I don't believe that she actually is employed.
Okay, so she agreed to that safety plan?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
Okay. Is it fair to say that mother is in and out of that home on a regular basis, the larger home on the property? I mean, she kind of comes and goes from there.
Yes, ma'am, daily. Everything that she needs, washer, dryer, bathtub, water, it's all in that main home. So she's in and out frequently.
Okay. So to at least some degree, fair to say the child will be living with the mother while we work these services?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then. I am going to find at this time that there is a substantial risk of abuse or neglect or a continuing danger to the child's physical health or safety, and find that services are necessary to ensure physical health and safety of the child. So I will sign the order to participate in services, grant the department's request for each of those specific services that they've identified, or that you, Ms. Watson, have identified that you would like for mom to work. I'm going to order her to go drug screen. Ms. Watson, as soon as you're able to notify her of that, if it's today, then that's great. If it's tomorrow, just by 4 o'clock, whatever day that you are able to notify her. That'll be a hair and a UA. And our first compliance hearing will be August 1st of 2024, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. I just was debating about whether or not we needed to be screening the child. I guess really the only allegations made about that was maybe the boyfriend's or the child's backpack had smelled like marijuana or something like that. So, I have a little bit of concern. Maybe there may have been some drug usage in the home. I guess let's take a look at mom's drug screens if we can get her there and see what that reveals before we do anything with Maddox. Mr. Morales, are you good with that?
Yes, Judge, and it kind of slipped my mind. I forgot this was a court-ordered services, and so I did allude to having something for the status hearing. With that being said, Your Honor, given how the drug screens return, I may or may not ask for more limited supervision. And what I'm saying is, if mom's levels are kind of off the charts high, then I don't know that I necessarily want her to have daily access to Maddox. We all know how that stuff is easily transferable, even if she's not doing it in front of him. Eating it with him, feeding him, things like that can cause him to be positive as well. So if her levels are really high, I may come back and ask the court to limit not just the supervision, but the amount of time to be supervised as well, Your Honor.
Well, I think that would require, honestly, if those screens came back at high levels, I think that's going to require the department to go a whole different avenue, because concept of an order to participate is that the child will still be in the home with the parent while services are worked. So, we'd be probably looking at a whole different action at that point in time. But we'll see. We'll see what comes back. Okay. All right. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much. And I'll see you back August 1st.
Thank you.
Amy, this isn't on the record, but Judge, just for your knowledge, Gene Graff, who I introduced to you last week, who is the new regional attorney, he's going to take over all of the 100th judicial district cases of Childers, Collinsworth, Donley, Carson County, and Armstrong County. And then I think he's going to start doing most, if not all, of my OTPs in Potter County. So you're going to start seeing him very soon on a regular basis.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what we had understood. So, all right. We look forward to working with him.
A pretty good time yesterday, and he's very knowledgeable in this type of work, very experienced in it. Not so much in Texas law, but and he was trying to catch up on that some. But the general fundamentals are pretty much the same here as they were in Washington where he was at. So
this is a compliance hearing in a court-ordered services case, and we are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making her record this morning. All right, we'll go ahead and take your announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Todd Alvey on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed. Rachel Baca is the family-based services worker who will be giving us an update on this case.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
Okay, then. What do we have new since the court report was filed?
Your Honor, we is it okay if I speak, Todd? Sorry.
No, I'm waiting.
Okay. We got mom set up with online parenting class, and it's also going to cover sex abuse education, parenting. And so we got that started because the parenting that we originally had her set up with was no longer available. So, other than that, she's scheduled to do sex abuse education with Troy Timmons on June 5th. She has done one counseling session, and her next appointment is tomorrow with Jennings. We're still working to try to find a provider for Hannah to do counseling. She does not have Medicaid, and so that limits, and she needs a female provider, so that kind of limits our options. But we're still working on that, trying to get her in to see somebody. So hopefully, maybe with it being the summer, we'll be able to find someone during the day, since she's not going to be in school. So, other than that, they're doing great. Kids are doing great. No concerns. The only concern I do have is Miss Martinez she is still struggling with doubts. She does still have contact with Joshua, but she denies that he is ever going to be in or around her home or around her children. So we've kind of discussed that, how realistic is that if you plan to be in a relationship with him? How are you going to keep him away from your home and your kids? So that's something we're working on right now.
Okay. And just so the record reflects, Ms. Martinez did get logged in and she is present with us. Here she's maybe at work, but that's fine. So, all right, Ms. Martinez, do you have any questions or concerns you want to talk about today? And you'll have to unmute.
No, ma'am, no questions.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. All right, then. I'm pleased that you are working your services. You're off to a good start. So just keep up making those appointments, and sounds like things are going well. All right, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, I got to meet with Hannah at school. She's a great kid, and we got to talk about art and dogs and squishmallows, and that she does feel safe at home is what she shared with me. I explained to her that the next time I see her will be during the summer, and I'll come visit her at home. But she seems to be doing well.
Okay. All right, then. Mr. Abbey, then I will find that Ms. Martinez is complying with her services, and we'll just continue those. I'll go ahead and set another compliance hearing date. Ms. Martinez, it's possible that you will be done with everything and we may not have to have this other hearing, but it will be scheduled for August 1st of 2024, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. It may have to do with whether or not we can find a service provider for Hannah pretty quickly, find a counselor. So anyway, we'll keep that date on the books, and I'll see you back then. In all likelihood, we'll probably see you then. Okay. Thank you all very much.
Ma'am,
Yes.
is there any way I can schedule it on Wednesday? Because on that day I will be at work and we'll be doing exactly the same thing we're doing now. Wednesday is my day off, and I'll be able to give you my undivided attention.
Unfortunately, I've got certain counties that I do hearings on certain days.
I understand.
It involves different people, and so it will have to be on that day. I'm sorry, but you're fine to log in from work. It's okay. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
And get off.
You're free to go. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm trying to get off. I don't know how.
Here, I can do it for you. Don't worry. I can do it for you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Have a good day.
You too.
Are you aware of what's happened to their kids?
I'm not. I spoke with him yesterday. I was more wondering about his criminal case.
Were you aware the kids are no longer in Amarillo?
Yes, I was aware of that.
Okay. Do you know where they were taken?
I do not.
Judge, I was going to ask if you could put Mr. Mendoza and I into a breakout room briefly. Morning, jury.
Yes. Okay, we are here on review hearings in both cases. We're conducting these through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Bill Hamker on
Todd
behalf
Albion.
of Sierra Lazaro, ready?
Todd Alvey on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present, ready to proceed, Your Honor. Jennifer Campos, who's the St. Francis Ministries Permanency Specialist, is present also.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the father, Ricky Mendoza, present and ready, Your Honor.
Jerry Morales on behalf of respondent father Matthew Lazaro, present, ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right, Mr. Alley, who's going to give us an update today? Ms. Campos?
Ms. Campos, Your Honor, yes.
All right, Ms. Campos, if you'll unmute for me and if you will just give an update on what's occurred since the court reports were filed.
Since the court reports were filed, there is actually an open investigation, not involving our kids, but involving another party, a family member. So the kids have been removed from their placement, and Aureliano has been placed in a respite home in Lubbock, and the girls have been placed in the children's home of Lubbock as of right now, just for a short term until we get this under the investigation closed out with whatever they find.
So there was an investigation on someone that was in the home with the children the subject of our suits.
So this person was not in the home. She is the sister of Sierra and Angelia, which is placement, which is the other sister. She lives in the home with their mother.
Okay. The investigation is as to Ms. Ortega's sister.
Yes.
Okay. When you say it lives in the home of the mother, you mean Ms. Ortega and the sister's mother, or
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Yes.
But she didn't, she wasn't in the home, or what? I guess I'm struggling with why, because there's an investigation on someone that wasn't even in the home. Why did we have to move it?
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move for us to go off of YouTube. I think it may require a discussion, not necessarily of our kids, but of a minor and some sensitive issues, and to preserve that child's privacy, I would ask that we go off of YouTube at this time.
I agree with Mrs. Zavala, Your Honor. Bill Hamker.
Got any objection?
No objection.
No objection.
None, Your Honor.
Okay. I find it may lead to giving the court more pertinent information, so I'll stop the live stream at this point in time to protect the confidentiality of whatever trial we're going to be for a status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we're still trying to get Mr. Brandt logged back in, but we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jennifer Campos is my permanency specialist. We're present, ready.
Jay
PD
Michaelson.
Hammonds for mom.
Go ahead.
PD Hammonds for mom, Starla George, ready judge. She was going to join us this morning.
She's with us.
Okay.
Jay, I keep stepping all over people. I'm sorry. Jay Michelson on behalf of Raymond Brandt. He's present and we're ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Stormy and Marlene.
Okay, Mr. Brandt has not completely joined back through, so I don't know what, he must be having a connection problem, but we'll go ahead and get an update from the department.
So the kids are doing well. Stormy is doing ECI services. She's doing physical therapy, speech therapy, developmental therapy, all the therapies pretty frequently throughout the week. Marlene is also doing physical therapy, and I believe it's speech therapy that she's doing. I can't remember off the top of my head on her. But she's doing well as well. They're both thriving. Um, from the first time I met Stormy, it was a total different girl when I went and saw her this last time. She's talking a little bit more. She's just, improving so well. Marlene, happy baby, super cute. Is starting to pull up on things and stuff like that. So as far as the kids go, they're doing extremely well. Parents have initiated services. Both parents have done 6 parenting classes. They're doing them at Hope Choice. Starly has done her psychological. She is also enrolled at TPC. She sees a caseworker there. She is also in individual counseling, as well as Mr. Brandt. His psychological is scheduled for tomorrow. I've also sent out the service authorization for him to attend counseling. I'm not 100% sure if he has got it set up yet, but I did send it out. I did go on Friday to have them sign the release of information so I can get the OSAR assessment stuff set up so that way they can do an OSAR assessment.
And Judge, I know she stated that parents are working services, family plans were signed on April 18th and filed on April 19th.
Okay. Mr. Michelson, since your client, he still hasn't been able to log back in. Did he mention to you whether he'd gotten any of this other stuff set up?
No, he didn't, Your Honor, because he was having difficulty communicating. So.
Okay. Well, it sounds like they're off to a good start and that they're fully cooperating and they're in compliance. So, okay, Mr. Hammonds, anything to talk about today?
No, Judge, I think she's, progressing as quickly as she can and completing all her services as quickly as she can.
Okay, and Mr. Michelson?
I believe Raymond is on track, so hopefully things will continue to do well.
Okay, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I agree that the kids are doing great. I think Stormy's got like 16 therapies in a month, and I've got a whole line of that, and progressing really well with that. Placement is on top of all of those medical needs. Marlene's getting physical therapy and services as well. They're doing great. It sounds like maybe there have been a visit or two that have been canceled short notice. So I would just ask that parents, communicate if they're not going to be able to make a visit, but it sounds like things are going well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to mention that they did have their first in-person visit last week.
You're in, but it's still not letting me in.
On Thursday. Sorry. They're on Thursday in Lubbock. And from what I hear that it went well. They were excited to see the girls. I know it can be a lot because they're so little, transporting them back and forth. So I'm glad that they were able to get that situated until we do have a home study on somebody that Kayla is working on reading and stuff. So once I know more about that, I will let everybody know.
Who is that pending on?
Her name is Amy Ariza, I believe that's her name.
A relative or effective kin? Or?
So Starly was actually in foster care, and so she was her foster mom. So I don't believe she is a foster parent any longer, but she was the person that they recommended. Yeah, Amy.
All right, so hopefully we'll have that back soon. Does she live here?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Okay, hope that works out. Mr. Brandt, I see that you did get logged back in.
I don't know what happened, but it kicked me out. So I was trying to get back in.
It's okay. We were watching for you till you got back in. So, all right, then. It sounds like things are going well. You all are off to a very good start. Let me talk to you about your service plans real quickly. I'm going to make those in order of the court today. So it's like any court order. I do expect you to abide by that and to work your services. You need to know, and I'm required to tell you this, failure to work your services could mean that the girls don't come home. And, We all want that to happen. So take these service plans very seriously. Failure to work those could mean termination of your parental rights too. And, nobody wants to go down that road. So you're off to a very good start. Just keep it up and this will all have a good outcome.
Yes, ma'am. We already got most of our parenting classes out of the way, and I got the evaluation meeting tomorrow at 11.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all, having a good start on this. So I'll see you back on September 3rd of 2024, and that'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Hopefully we'll be more on time than we are today. And we'll get an update on how things are going.
That's your birthday.
And Judge, I'm assuming that's Starley with Dad, right, with Mr. Brandt right there.
Yeah, my phone won't look.
Okay. I just want to make sure how to mark on my order of who all appears.
Okay, so I'll see y'all back September 3rd for a review hearing, and we'll see how things are going then.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. George, I had attempted to let your device back in, so you can just, if it does, you can just exit out.
All right. Yeah, it wouldn't load, so
yeah.
I thought y'all were on, so I just followed him.
No problem. All right, y'all have a good day. We are here today on a status hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jalissa Bird is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Your Honor, I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent Mandy Park, so we're both present ready.
Stacey Zavala for Zoe.
All right, and just so it doesn't confuse anything or anybody, I'll put Mr. Michelson back in the waiting room. Okay. All right. What's the update today?
Yes, family plans were created for the two alleged fathers. Mandy Parks signed her family plan and has started to call in services and begin her services. She's had weekly visits with Zoe virtually until we received more clean UAs. And so she did UA for us in April and in the beginning of this month on May 3rd. And so that was also a clean UA. So far, we're doing pretty well and on track. We did have an icebreaker with Zoe's placement and Mandy Parks and her mother, Sharon Parks. So that icebreaker went well and seems like a good relationship so far.
Okay, so are we going to be able to start in-person visits now?
I know when we were in court, it was mentioned a few, and so I wasn't sure if that needs to be 3 or 2. We do have 2 clean UAs.
Right. I'm good with it. If we want to go ahead and start some in-person, so we'll see if Ms. Zavala is good with it, but I think probably we could. Okay, and have we had any further contact with Mr. Privet or Mr. Essery?
I did send over their family plans, and one parent, I believe, was at Randall County. So I do plan to go out and visit with him. And then the other parent, I hope to get in touch with him just through mail.
Okay, what about genetic testing? We know where they both are.
Judge, we have an order on for Donald Privet. That's what I'm looking at to see where we stand. I know the order was signed, and I know Ms. Chavez reached out as far as getting some paperwork on it, so I've seen where we stood on it.
Do we have it just on him?
Yes, ma'am, just on him right now. And that order looks like you signed it on the 25th of April. Ms. Bird, have you sent the completed 1702 back on that?
I don't believe I did. I can get that sent in today.
Yeah, if you'll get that sent over to Ms. Chavez, I can get that scheduled.
Okay.
And his correct last name is Privet, right? Privitt.
Yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
believe so. That's-
All right, so I thought I'd ordered genetic testing on both of them. I know that the AG has a little bit of an issue with that, but
Yes, ma'am.
okay,
Well, and-
we're early on in the case, so
Yes, ma'am.
we'll do one and then we'll do the other if we need to. Okay.
And I think that's why Kim just stuck her head in. I think that's why we only did the one order right now, is because the AG will only do one at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like pulling teeth to do two at once. Okay, then Mr. Elbridge.
We don't have anything, Judge. Mandy's doing good. She's passed her UAs. We just like to move down the road a little bit and start the visits, and she's working her services. Other than that, we don't have anything to add, I don't believe, unless Mandy has something to say.
Oh,
you're muted, Mandy.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Anything you want to add to that?
I have one thing to ask. Is, my mom has visitations.
We can't hear you.
My mom's visits.
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
Ms. Parks. What'd you say?
I said I was wondering about my mom's visitation with Zoe.
Okay, Ms. Bird, probably a question you could answer.
Yes, our family support worker, she was trying to get that scheduled and just trying to figure out how to get the visit between where Zoe's placed and then where grandmother is. So I know she was working on that. And so I'm hoping to get that as soon as possible.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Ms. Grant's logged in now. So Ms. Grant, anything concerning Mr. Pruitt other than we've got outstanding genetic testing?
That's the only thing, Your Honor. And I'm attempting to schedule a call and with him. He's I haven't gotten to talk to him, so hopefully I'll get to get that done quickly.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's in TDCJ, Judge.
Right. Okay, then Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Zoe's doing well. She actually had COVID for a while, but was even through being sick has gained weight and is doing well that way. I believe that should be pretty much resolved. She may still have a little cough, but as long as mom is testing negative, I don't have an objection to her visiting. That was my big concern before, was just making sure that Zoe doesn't get re-exposed. But if mom's cooperating and testing clean, then I have no objection to that visit.
Okay. All right, Ms. Parks, let me talk with you about your services. I'm going to order those as a part of the court order today. And so I do expect you to work those things. And failure to work those could mean Zoe not going home to you. And worst case scenario, it can mean termination of your parental right. So it's very important that you work your way through those things. You're off to a good start. So just keep up the good work, and this will all have a positive outcome. If you have any questions about what's expected of you, be sure you stay in contact with your attorney and with the permanency specialist, with Ms. Bird, so that you always know where you stand in the case, okay?
Okay.
All right, then for today, I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I will continue the child's current placement. I'll find that there is a continuing danger to the child to be returned home today. Ask the department to continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Find mom she's complying with what we're asking her to do. Order the services as an order of the court. And I'll see everybody back on September 3rd of 2024 at a 9:00 docket. And that'll be our first initial permanency hearing. So we'll check in at the time, Ms. Parks, to see how everything is going.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Will be excused?
Yes, you may.
All right, thanks, Judge.
Thank you.
Bird is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
It's new every day for me.
Okay, so Mr. Eldridge is present and his client is also present. Ms. Parks is present. All right, Mr. Essery is not present. Okay, Ms. Zavala.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Zoe.
Okay, Ms. Bird, we'll get an update from you.
Yes. So Zoe's doing well in her placement. She is meeting her milestones. She's attending her ECI physical therapy. They've reported she's on target and doing well. She's has a great temperament, always smiling and having a good time. Parent Mandy Parks, she's doing well in her services. She has completed a couple of her services and continuing to work through some of her other ones. So she's on target with getting her services completed and done. Parent is also drug screening for us. So far, those drug screens have been negative, so she's doing well. We did do a DNA test on the alleged father, Donald Privet, and we did get basically the DNA report excluded Mr. Donald Privet from being biological father. That was on July 5th, 2024. And then we are currently pending a DNA test for Anthony Adversary.
All right, yeah, we've already non-suited Mr. Privet, so, okay. And is he still incarcerated?
Yes.
Mr. Essery is still incarcerated?
Yes, he is.
All right.
Jalissa, on the drug screens, I know in the report, we were still pending on the August 23rd results, the hair and the UA. Those both came back negative.
I did see the UA was negative, and I could not remember if the hair, so I needed to follow up on the hair, but I believe I know the UA is negative.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. Eldridge.
I don't have any questions. Sounds like everything's going pretty good. So I don't have any questions. Any follow-up?
Okay, Ms. Parks, anything today? Okay, she's shaking her head no, I think.
Mandy, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry about that. No, I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay, well, just keep working away on your services. Sounds like it's going pretty well, so that's good.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
Zoe's doing great in placement. I've got no concerns about that placement. And it sounds like visits are going well, so I recommend that continue.
Okay.
Your Honor, I just looked up the hair strand drug screen for Ms. Parks. It is positive for methamphetamines.
Do we know, is it coming down from the last one, Tippy?
This one was 1489. I'm not showing any other positive drug screens back through 423.
What's the date of this last one you're talking about?
8/23/24. There may have been one done by CPS though, and we wouldn't be able to see that on the I3 screen.
That shows something was filed on May 6th. I don't know whether that was a UA or hair.
Let's see. May 6th was a negative. Let me pull that up. That was a UA.
Real quick, Tippy, you said the hair was what right now?
Positive for methamphetamines.
At what level?
1,489.
Okay. Judge, there was it looks like during the original investigation from March 25th, or it was taken on March 19th, but the meth levels were 5,300. So it's come down about 4,000 from that one that I'm seeing from the beginning of the case.
Okay.
UA.
All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue Zoe's placement, find a continuing danger to return the child home today, but that mom is in compliance with her service plan. And we will have another review hearing on December 10th of 2024. That'll be on.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
for one, I don't see how that even came back positive.
Well, it takes a lot longer for it to get out of your hair than it does UA. So I agree that from from March, I would think it would be showing negative at this point, but it just would depend on when your last use was. But what's critical to us is that it's going down.
And Mandy, that may be affected by your genetic disorder, because it's related to the growth of your hair. So you might go back and talk to your doctor about that, because that could possibly impact it.
Okay. What about medications or anything? Because I do take Prozac.
No, that wouldn't pop for methamphetamines.
Okay. So something about the genetics then for my hair growth.
Quite possibly. I would talk to your doctor about that.
Okay.
But like I said, what's critical, Ms. Parks, is that the UAs have been negative, and and this level is going down. So that's all okay. We're still headed where we need to be.
Okay.
All right, then I'll see everybody back December 10th.
Thank you,
Right.
Judge.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hang on, I'm checking my waiting room. I don't think I've got either parent, but let me just double check.
Is Miss Lazaro in there?
Yes.
She's on this one too.
Yeah, she is. That's right. She's guardian. Let me bring. We're here today on a status hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Michelle Silva is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Jessica Davidson. I have not had any contact with my client, Your Honor, but I am present and ready to proceed.
Lauren Lucero, guardian ad litem for Ms. Davidson, Your Honor. I'm present, ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Joshua.
Okay, Ms. Sapien, you sound like you're under the weather. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, what do we have new since court report's filed?
Miss Silva.
Nothing new. I did text mom yesterday and she did respond. I asked if just checking on you, please call me back, and she said I will when I get time. She asked how Joshua was. I sent her pictures. I let her know he's doing great. I sent her more, and she didn't respond after that. I went to Faith City Shelter, the Salvation Army, and I cruised around Guyon Saunders and didn't see her. I called Guyon Saunders. She hadn't been there in more than 6 months. I asked her where she was and if she's okay and please to call me, and she hasn't. So that is it.
All right.
Service plans were generated and filed, Your Honor.
Okay, but I assume you haven't had sufficient contact with mom to go over it with her.
No.
Any update on Mr. Royce?
No, I haven't been able to find him, get a hold of him. I did a finders. There's no information for him.
All right, then, Ms. Sapien.
I don't have anything to report, Your Honor. I will continue trying to get a hold of Jessica.
Okay, you've got contact information for her?
I do. I've been provided multiple numbers by the department.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Lucero?
Your Honor, I have not had contact with Ms. Davidson. I just sent an email, message to Ms. Silva from any updated phone number, and I believe she just sent that to me and to Ms. Sapien. So I'll keep trying.
Okay. Okay, then Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Joshua's doing really well in placement. I did want just a little clarification from Michelle. I know that that maybe there's some visitation going on with the grandmother. And I had thought that I remembered that maternal grandmother may have some other kids, but I thought I had down that she did not believe she could be placement, but I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes. I had set up a visit with maternal grandma in Minnesota. She has 2 siblings of Joshua's. This last 2 weekends ago, she gets all his siblings for the weekend. So the visit was canceled because she had something come up. But yeah, she doesn't want to be placement.
Okay. And without saying any names, are there any home studies pending on any other family members?
No.
Okay. I had thought there might be someone that was interested, but I think there were some privacy issues. So I'll email you on that and see if we can determine if that might be a possibility for home study.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody have anything else to add today?
Nothing further at this time, yeah.
All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and find there's a continuing danger to return the child home at this time. I'll continue the child's current placement. Order the service plans as an order of the court, and I'll see everybody back for our initial permanency hearing on September 3rd of 2024, and that'll be a 9 o'clock docket.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry we're so late today. Appreciate your patience. Missing Ms. Lazaro. We're here today on an initial permanency hearing, conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Galvin's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Kayla Curtsey is the supervisor and would be testifying today.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Mom. I do not believe my client is present, but I'm ready.
Your Honor, I'm Tate Eldridge here on behalf of Father. I'm present. I'm not sure if he is or not.
I do not have parents present today.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Joshua.
Okay. Then Ms. Kirksey, we'll go ahead and let you give us an update.
Good morning. Josh is doing great in placement. He just turned 1 year old, I believe on the 1st of September. No health concerns, no medications. He's just doing great in his foster home right now. As far as his permanency, we are looking to place with an ICPC in Minnesota with 2 of his siblings in the home that adopted those 2 siblings. We ran into a little bit of an issue a couple months ago. We submitted our ICPC. It was sent back to us. They're requesting for the birth certificate and social to be sent with this ICPC request. We have never had an ICPC request where we've had to attach the copies of those. So it was something that had to get sent up to our director and all kinds of policy requesting and things like that. I don't know if it's necessarily to do with Minnesota as the state requesting them, because they don't really require those for some of the other states that we place with. With that being said, we went ahead and got his birth certificate in. We are needing to get his social security card. It's going to kind of be a matter of what happens sooner. Either we get the rule overturned that we have to have that, which that's kind of what they're trying to do, or we get the social security in first, whatever is the fastest way to go about. As far as getting that social security card, we have ran into a little bit of a difficult position. Requesting it is going to require certified either school records or certified medical records. Obviously, he doesn't have school records with his age, but his medical records, we've called up the hospital trying to get those and call his doctor. They said that they don't have certified records to give us. I asked them if they could sign in blue ink and have the doctor sign. They said that they couldn't do it. So we're going to keep trying with that, but if not, we're going to have her take him to a different doctor and see if that office will provide us with certified medical records. So that's kind of the update on the ICPC and his permanency that we're looking at right now. As far as Jessica Davidson and Henry Royce, we really don't have any updates past what's been put in the court report. Jessica is MIA. We have not been able to locate her. I believe the last time that she was located was July 11th, and she was homeless and living behind a store downtown Amarillo. We haven't been able to find her ever since. She hasn't made any progress on her family plan of service. Henry Royce, we've not had any communication with him. No progress on the family plan of service to report.
All right, Ms. Sapien, anything to report?
No, Your Honor, nothing to report. I also have not had any contact or been able to find my client.
Okay, Mr. Eldridge.
Same with me, Judge. I don't have anything to report either.
Okay, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, this is a case that I had sort of referenced before. This is another one of those birth certificate, Social Security card cases that we're just having a slowdown in. I really hate that we have a very, very interested placement. And I'm not saying that this is St. Francis's fault, but I hate that we're in this situation. I would like to see whatever we can do to try to get one of, whether change the requirement for the Social Security card or somehow obtain a Social Security card so that we can move forward with that ICPC. As we're waiting, I really think that this potential placement should have regular visits. I know he's little, I know they're far away, I know it would have to be virtual. But I mean, that is where I believe we all think this is headed. And so the more contact that everybody could have with each other, the better. I have no idea if placement could travel down here, but if they could, I absolutely think there should be visits. I hate that we're in this situation. But I mean, I've got no concerns about his foster family at all. I don't want to make it sound like he's not in a great placement. He is, but the longer he's there and the longer it takes to switch over to a family placement, the harder it is on everybody. So right now, of course, we need to continue that placement, but I would recommend as much contact as possible with future family placement and siblings, and to just kind of put this on the urgent list to get that ICPC started, because at this point we haven't even started it.
Okay. So, Ms. Smith, if everybody will look at her chat, maybe that would be of some assistance. So I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'm going to continue the child's current placement, find there's a continuing danger to return the child home to either parent. And I am going to set our final for December 10th of 2024 on a 9:00 docket. That just doesn't affect the progress of the ICPC at all. So we've made no progress. Parents are essentially MIA. So I would at least like to get the underlying case wrapped up if we can. And I recognize we may not have an approved ICPC yet, but I don't see any disadvantage in going forward. Does anybody?
Judge, the only thing we're getting, Mom, we've not served Mom because we haven't been able to find her since. So we are working on the affidavit to get her published on. We just haven't gotten that to you yet. Since the worker's out on FMLA right now, we're having some issues, but we're going to get that to you. But I don't have her. I don't believe I have her that she ever appeared.
She hasn't.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think she's actually appeared in any hearing.
She hasn't, and she hasn't, we haven't been able to get her served.
But Ms. Sapien, did you file any kind of answer on her behalf?
I didn't, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I want to go ahead and set the final.
Okay.
I mean, if we have to push it, we will, but we're going nowhere fast. So.
And I apologize. Can you repeat that date for me?
Sure. December 10th. And that'll be on a 9:00 docket.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I'm like Ms. Zavala, I'd love to move forward with the ICPC as soon as we can. So, but that in the early final, I don't think affects it. So, all right, then I'll see everybody back in December.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank y'all.
She should be coming back, Judge. Sorry, I had to pull a Joel and ask for a room. Oh, is that what we're calling it now?
I'm sitting here, man.
Oh, dang, he's right there.
I think that's the official term for them now.
Yeah. I need a Joel room, please. No, just kidding.
Gary, let me get your client moved back. We are here for an initial permanency hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under finding a good cause and agreement of the parties. A child is present with us today, and we are live streaming right now. And Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Tamara Ring is my Tamara Martinez is my permanency specialist. We're present, ready.
Jerry Morales for respondent mother, Your Honor. She is present. We are ready.
Joel Jackson on behalf of the unknown father, present and ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Cheyenne, and because she is present today, I would ask that we go off of
review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Marissa Herrera is my permanency specialist. We're present, ready.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Ms. Tenner. We're present and ready.
Joel Jackson on behalf of Tyrone Lewis, present and ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
Okay, Ms. Herrera, what do we have new?
The parents have completed a lot of their services on their service plan. We're continuing to try to get them to engage in the recommendations from their services. Ms. Tenner was recommended from her psychological to do couples counseling, and she continues to give some pushback on doing couples counseling. She's been pushing a lot of the blame on the previous worker, saying she didn't have a contact for couples counseling, but I have given her a contact and she's still not moving forward with it. Mr. Lewis, during his psychosocial was recommended a psychological as well as to provide valid prescriptions for his medications. They haven't been testing positive on their UAs, but they don't go the day that we send them. I sent them in April. They waited till the next day. I sent them in May and they still have not gone. We don't have a hair follicle on them since October. And so we would like for them to go during their random drug screens. The children are doing well in their placement. They're placed in a foster home in Hereford. They're going to all their visits. They do have an MRI that needs to be done in May for Zy Adrian for his brain injuries. And the foster parents told me that because the MRIs are so backed up that they'll just get the call and just have to take him. So we don't have a scheduled appointment, but if he's not seen in May, we'll call them and see when he can get in for an MRI.
Okay, so we had a hair test in October.
Yes, ma'am.
And what UAs have we had since October?
Let me pull it up. I sent them in April, on April 26th. And then I sent them May 2nd, but we don't have a drug screen for that day. And let me pull up when the previous worker had sent them.
Did they go on in April, on that April date?
On the 26th, they did not go. They went on the 27th.
Judge, according to the report, there was the hair follicle done October 20th. Then a UA was done on 11/20 of 23. A UA done on 1/15 of 24. And then not one until April. So February and March, there was no UA. And the hair follicle hasn't been done since October. We'd be asking for a hair follicle today. I believe they were asked to go on the 2nd. I believe Ms. Tenner, according to my conversation with Ms. Kincaid, Ms. Tenner was in the hospital, I believe, on the 2nd. I'm not sure exactly when she got out, but they still have not gone up until we checked yesterday.
Okay, and Ms. Herrera, you've been to the home?
Yes, I was there in April. Yes, ma'am.
Seems fine, clean, and appropriate, and
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, they have everything for the children. It's clean and appropriate.
okay. Ms. Kincaid?
Thank you. Now, Ms. Herrera, we're missing a couple of UAs from, was it February and March?
Yes, I believe so.
And that's not a failure of Ms. Tenner to attend. That's the department didn't send them. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. And then the hair follicle not having one since October, that's not because Ms. Tenner didn't attend. The department didn't request one. Is that correct?
No, I sent her May 2nd for a hair follicle. She did not attend that one.
But concerning normally we would want one every 3 months. So she wasn't sent in December. Is that correct?
I wasn't the caseworker, so I don't know if she was sent in December.
Okay. Do you have a file that you keep on this case?
Yes.
Okay. Can you review that file and see if she was ever sent?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
It would take me time.
Okay. Okay. So, but she wasn't sent. That's okay. But she wasn't sent in March for a hair follicle either. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. So it's not a lack of her willingness to attend the hair follicle. It's just that she hasn't been sent for one.
You mean 3 months after October? Then
Right.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. And so whenever you tried to send her on May the 2nd, did she respond to you?
Yes.
Okay. And did she tell you that she was in the hospital?
Yes. And I told her just go when she gets out. And then I never heard from her. She went to her visit that next Monday. And then I checked in, I think it was Tuesday or Thursday, and never heard from her.
Okay. So the department is asking her to go for a hair follicle today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So other than that, what other services is the department requesting?
The couples counseling, and for Miss Tenner, just the couples counseling.
Okay. And I know that you haven't been the caseworker for very long in this case, but have you had an opportunity to actually review whether the previous caseworker sent the referral out for them to attend couples counseling?
When I talked to the previous worker, there was some issues with couples counseling. She couldn't find a provider that Mahala wanted. And so they kind of asked Mahala if she would find one. And I guess there was just a lot of drop balls there.
Okay. So it wasn't, whenever we had our last hearing, it wasn't because Ms. Tenner hadn't attempted to attend the couples counseling. It's just they couldn't find a provider, couldn't get a referral out. Is that correct?
That's
your understanding. Sorry.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay. So it's not for a lack of trying or an unwillingness to attend. It's that if there are no providers to do the service, she can't work it.
Since I've had the case, there has not been an issue with providers.
Okay. So you've sent her a list of providers that she could attend.
I sent her one, Pace Lawson. She did not move forward with it. I called him today and he can take clients.
Okay. And is there anything that would prevent them from being able to attend couples counseling while there's increased visits or any kind of placement change with the children?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it could even be family counseling, couples counseling, family counseling. That's what was in her psychological as a recommendation.
Okay. And Your Honor, as an aside, I've filed a motion and it was last week for a monitored return of the children, but I'm guessing that Mr. Trout is probably not going to want to take that up today.
Yeah, Judge, on that, I would ask to have a separate hearing set for that.
Yeah, Ms. Kincaid, I have seen your motion, and unfortunately, we're really pressed. I mean, you already know we're behind on the docket, but I've got a final that we've got to get put on the record, and Ms. Taylor is going to have to leave us here pretty quickly. So I would have to schedule that for a different date and time. So I'll ask Ms. Katie to start looking at dates, and maybe we can agree to something before we get off of here.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. Ma'am, as far as Tyrone Lewis is concerned, he's been cooperative with you, has he not?
Yes.
And were you aware that that his wife was in the hospital on May 2nd?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware that he was with his wife in the hospital on May 2nd?
No.
And as far as the services that Tyrone has completed, he's done everything that's been asked of him, has he not?
Aside from the recommendations, yes.
Okay. And the recommendations on what?
From his psychosocial, it recommended that he do a psychological and also present valid prescriptions.
Have y'all set him up for psychological?
No, we have not.
When was that recommendation made?
Let me find when he did his psychosocial. That was on December 7th.
And as far as the visits between the parents and the kids, are those going well?
Yes.
Okay. And would you or the department have a problem increasing those visits at this time?
When I talked to them in April with my face-to-face with the parents, I asked them if they were going to ask for more visitation, and Miss Tenner told me that this schedule worked for them, the 2 days a week, 2 hours for them and the children. She didn't want any more visitation. I explained to her if we did reunification, we would have to do some kind of step-up visitation, and she understood that. But right now, she did not want more visitation than what they're doing right now because that worked for them.
Okay, but my question is that would you have a problem increasing
No.
the visitation? Okay.
No, we don't have a problem increasing supervised visitation.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
The reason we had done that.
Okay, Ms. Abella?
I have no questions of this witness.
Okay, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Oh, Your Honor, I had one follow-up question, if that's okay.
Sure.
Has the department done a background check on Marilyn Tenner, maternal grandmother?
No.
Okay. Has a home study been done on Marilyn Tenner?
No.
Would the department be willing to do a background check and home study on Miss Tenner?
Yes.
Pass witness.
Okay. All right then. I am going to order parents to go do a hair test today before 4 p.m. Ms. Herrera, if you'll make sure the paperwork's out there. Also, I'll order the home study on maternal grandmother. She's present. Ms. Tenner, do you want a home study done?
I mean, I don't mind. The thing of the monitor return was that my mom is staying with us. So I mean that's the whole point. So it's no need for a home study to be done because she stays here.
Okay. I mean, is she living there on a permanent basis now?
Yes. She
Okay.
has been since the last court hearing.
All right. So that, I mean, to do a home, that's going to be kind of a odd situation as far as the home study is concerned. Why don't we just table that and you know, that can be part of what we're going to take up when we hear the motion for monitored return. Okay. So I'm not going to order that home study today just because, I mean, it would essentially be set up to fail because she lives in the same home with y'all. So we'll take a look at what her role might be and what that might look like otherwise. But,
yes, ma'am.
And
okay.
Your Honor, the reason for that was that my understanding was that the previous caseworker had done a background check on Miss Marilyn Tenner and found her to be appropriate to monitor visits, and they said that she could. And so we kind of thought a good strategy would be for her to be able to monitor Mahalia and the parents in the home. And so that's the reason why we made that change. But evidently maybe that caseworker did not do that background check.
Well, she told me she did it.
Okay. Well, I know you all are looking at some dates have been circulating around. You know, obviously that would be information that could be brought up at this next hearing, which I think it's more appropriate for that hearing.
Yes, Your Honor, that's why Miss Marilyn is here today, is for that hearing.
Okay. So it looks like everybody's saying May 30th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, May 30th at 9. Okay. Okay, then today, all right, like I said, order parents to go drug test, hair test before 4, continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue placement. Find that there would be a continuing danger to return the child home today, the children home today. Parents are compliance, working their services. Everything I think sounds like it's going well. We'll take up the issue about a monitored return on May 30th. Until then, of course, the department needs to continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. So I will see everybody back May 30th. And then our trial is set for June 27th of 2024, and that's also on a 9 o'clock docket.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. I'll see y'all here in just a couple weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready on.
Jay Michelson on behalf of Kimberly Contreras. She's present and we're ready.
Lorraine Lazaro, attorney for Miguel Contreras. The father, Your Honor, we're present, ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the children.
All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Trout.
Yes, ma'am. Just to announce to the court, we went to mediation on this case and came to an agreement. As part of that agreement, we are working toward getting placement PMC with a PCA. We have to give them the waiting period once they are completely licensed, get all that work through, and then negotiate the subsidies before we can do that. So as part of the mediated settlement agreement, it was agreed by parties to extend the case for the purpose of getting to that PMC PCA stage with the placement. There's other things that were negotiated during that, but that's the main reason for the mediated settlement agreement at this point, was to get an extension so we could get them to a point of subsidies and for the children to stay where they are.
Okay.
And I did file the MSA with the court on May 8th. And I can, you want me to go through the whole thing?
No, I mean, I've got it right here in front of me. We can just simply, I can simply adopt it.
Okay.
And, and then we can, extend the case. So real quickly, Mr. Michelson, is that your all's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Lazaro, is that your agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Zabala, also your agreement?
It's my agreement, and I do believe it's in the best interest of the children.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Trout, unless you feel like you need to go through anything specifically, we can just, I will adopt the MSA, the provisions therein. And it looks like we've got some provisions about visitation. Is that correct? And
there's some provisions about visitation. There's a provision parents won't be asked to pay any child support due to we're trying to get the PCA subsidies and stuff. They would be ordered to pay medical support, and that was to start on May 1st. And then the 50% of any reasonable health cost after that.
So some of this is going to go ahead and take effect right now.
Yes, ma'am. And even some of the visitation stuff, which took effect at the end, starting a couple weeks ago on April 21st.
Okay. So it's going to just become a part of a permanency order at this point.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then I'll find there's extraordinary circumstances which would warrant granting an extension in the case. Have we set a new dismissal date?
Just thought that's what I was working on getting done. I apologize.
No, it's okay. While you're doing that, let me just ask then, Ms. Ashley, anything new since the court report was filed? I mean, anything else to report in the way of a review hearing today?
Kimberly did complete her outpatient services, so now all of the services are completed.
Okay, great.
Looks like extension date would be to 11/15 of 20. It says 25. I think that's 24.
Yeah.
Yep. And next hearing, or the final, would be set for November 12th.
Right, that's what I've got. Okay. Okay, then, as far as a review hearing is concerned, Mr. Michelson, anything to address today?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Lazaro?
Your Honor, since we're all here, I need to say, get some clarification as far as whether or not placement is licensed yet, and if the PCA process has started. I just wanted to get an update on that.
Ms. Ashton.
Well, they have to meet the 6-month mark. So once the 6-month mark is hit, then they'll be eligible to submit the paperwork to get the PCA.
Ms. Ashley, one thing I think Ms. Lucero was asking is has placement finished their licensing yet? It was supposed to be done sometime around the end of May. Is that correct?
Oh no, their licensing has been complete.
Okay.
Which case? We're on Contreras, correct? Not the
Correct.
other? Okay.
Correct.
Yes, they've been licensed. Their licensing, their 6-month mark is just a few days after the May dismissal date. That's why we needed the small extension for them.
That's right. Sorry, Ms. Lucero. I think I had that a little backwards.
No, that's fine.
Yes.
Thanks.
They have been licensed. Our children have been in the house for almost the 6 months. It will be, I think, like May 28th or something, and our dismissal date was May 20th. So hopefully we can get all this done within the next few months. We will have everything swapped over.
Yes, I've already taken them the paperwork to start filling everything out. So once they've hit that 6-month mark, they'll be able to give me the documents and I can get that started.
Okay. And just one follow-up. The agreement is whether or not they're approved for that PCA. Once that decision comes down, then the department would dismiss out. That's what we all agreed to in the mediated settlement agreement. Is that your understanding, Ms. Ashley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so, Your Honor, I would ask when that happens, will we need to come back for that, I guess, final hearing on the 12th or of November 12th? Or I guess I can talk to Daniel about how we'll do that.
No, I mean, I have no problem. I mean, if everything's in place and ready to go, I don't know whether, I mean, we'll need to, I think you'll need a final order as opposed to just a dismissal. So we've got our next review hearing is set for September 3rd.
Okay.
My hope is we'll be done long before that. So y'all just let us know and we'll squeeze it in somewhere to get it done.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Or
I
an
appreciate
agreed
that.
order, or just an agreed order. It's fine with me.
Okay.
Everybody signs off on an agreed order. We don't even need a hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Ms. Zavala, anything else to report today?
No, Your Honor, the kids continue to do very well in placement and hopefully we can get this finalized soon.
Okay. All right, then. I find extraordinary circumstances exist and I will extend the case. I'll set the new dismissal date of November 15th of 2024. Next hearings that we have calendared will be September 3rd on a 9 o'clock docket, the final on November 12th on a 9 o'clock docket. But if we're done and everything's in place, agreed order is just fine and we'll be done long before those dates. But I will adopt the MSA, make that part of the current order, and find that parents, are in compliance and that we're just working on permanency for the kids. So, okay. I appreciate y'all's working all this out and maybe or maybe not see you again, but I appreciate everybody's cooperation. And so, Ms. Zavala, tell all the kiddos I said hi. All right. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
And Judge, we'll get a review order done for this hearing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Taylor, 7 minutes to spare.